Who did? We did? No, absolutely incorrect. We're the last people that would have asked for any money for this story.
It's also suggested that Bill Cosby was successful in stopping the first effort at publishing this story. This is an old story. Is that your understanding as well?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
And do you know how he stopped it? Did he just call and say, don't do this?
I have no idea how he did it. I don't know.
And you step forward today on the Donahue Show without fee. You are not being paid, nor is your attorney being paid, because you want... Well, that's unusual, isn't it? Because, why, Erinn? Because you want what?
I just want to clear this. You know, the tabloids have a tendency to keep bringing up stories over and over and over. And, you know, I just want to, kill it. I want it past me. It's been past me. And I don't want to walk around and have people, you know, associate me with this and just keep getting stamped with these things.
But cannot this also be said, Erinn, that your folks responded to this crisis of their second daughter, the one with whom they have had somewhat of a rocky recent history, not unlike a lot of parents with a lot of kids your age. Your parents acted in, I assume you would feel, an exemplary way.
Exactly.
Your mom was supportive.
Right.
And your father was supportive.
Exactly.
And your father used his power to contact the champ, even though it was with an agent.
Right.
And not wanting to hang him by his thumbs, I assume.
Right.
You convinced him he had a problem. And he insisted on therapy, and they acquiesced. Do you have any information to indicate that the champ underwent therapy as a result of your father's encouragement?
No, I don't know, but I don't think that he did. That's my personal opinion.
Now, there's a lot of people surrounding Mike Tyson. Incidentally, in 1989, this was before any, I'm not sure what publicity had surfaced about the champ at that time. We didn't have any. He may have run his car into a tree at that time. I'm not sure. Well, no, but he's had some, you know...
His marriage might have been rocky.
His marriage was rocky. But the issue of the Robin Givens violent stories, had they surfaced before you went over there?
Yes.
They had?
Yes.
So you knew he had at least a wife who, at least one incident of publicly someone suggesting that he was a violent man.
Yeah.
You weren't concerned because you saw cars outside his house.
Right, and also at that time I felt I was with a friend. I felt comfortable with that. So I really...
So when you read about Desiree Washington, you had to say, uh-oh.
Yes, I did.
Have you talked to her?
No, I've never met her. I've never spoken with her.
Do I understand that you're really enraged at the people surrounding the champ who never blew the whistle on him?
Yes.
A lot of powerful guys, black and white people, who knew he was capable
Exactly, yes.
And they didn't.
And that appalls me. I really think, I mean, that's the one thing. I know he's Mike Tyson, but still, this man has committed a crime. And it doesn't matter who he is as far as I'm concerned. And I'm just appalled by how many people were behind him.
And we'll be back in just a moment. Yes.
Okay, a question I have about your story. What was your friend doing in the whirlpool? It sounds kind of suggestive.
Absolutely. I don't know.
But she has no complaint about any untoward behavior toward her.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I have a question. Don't you find it a little bit disconcerting that it seems that so many of your friends around you seem to have a price tag attached to them? It seems like this person sold their story, that person.
Very good question.
Yes. Yes, it is. I've had a history of people like that.
Has what happened to you, did that change your thinking about ever going out like that or going with someone to late in the evening? Or?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
How well did you know Mike Tyson? Had you met him before?
I had met him a couple times, but just like, hello, how are you, that type of thing.
Why didn't you choose to press charges?
At that time, you know, I was young and I was scared. You have two names attached to it, and I felt my parents would handle it the best they could, which I felt that they did.
We have the heavyweight champion of the world who would have been publicly accused of assaulting the #1 television father of the world. This, in the world of tabloid journalism, you can take my word for it, is one hell of a good story. The Inquirer denies that your father ever killed a story, that they, if they had had it, they make the point that the story would be too good to finesse or walk away from, regardless of who tried to pressure them. So they're saying, no, we didn't buckle. We didn't have the story, is what they're saying, until recently. Yes?
These two friends of yours, are they still friends?
No.
The men?
No.
Do you think if you would have come out sooner that maybe what happened to Desiree Washington might not have happened?
Yes, I do.
So you feel sorry you didn't?
Yeah, now I look back on it, I do.
You were 21. Let's go over this at the time.
21.
Why didn't you ever question your father as to how he handled it with Mike Tyson?
Well, because at that time, I just, you know, with my own emotions and everything, I really felt that he would handle it. I didn't want to deal with it, actually, which is why I put myself through therapy. I didn't really, it's too much red tape involved.
Why didn't you come out in support of Desiree Washington when she was going through her crisis?
Well, because I felt that she was handling it the best she could. Also, I mean, you have to understand that this is a very personal, private matter. Now I'm glad I can come out and talk about it. I mean, I'm in a situation where I'm almost forced to do it, but, you know, I can send a message now, and I'm not afraid to talk about it actually now.
You also feel that there's somebody out there trying to sell this, right?
There's somebody, yes.
And would this be the ex-boyfriend?
Yes.
How much?
And so pardon me, but one of the things you get, perhaps, for this kind of public appearance is to knock the props out from under whatever maybe, to reduce the value of whatever it is he's trying to sell. Is that it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that happens, but also I want to take this opportunity to really share what is happening, and I'm not really too concerned with him anymore.
Your friend that was at the bar, how much was she paid by Tyson to be quiet?
I don't know. I don't know.
You have no idea?
I have no idea. She said, from what people were saying, between $5,000 and $7,000. I don't know.
Was there any money ever offered to you to keep quiet?
Yeah, he offered money to me as I was leaving, but I mean, that wasn't even a discussion.
Do you recall what number he offered you?
He didn't say. He just said money.
Did he look frightened when you left? Was he sorry, remorseful, nervous? What was it?
He had a very strange look on his face, something more like he went back into his childhood like a little kid, like he had done something wrong. He wasn't over-sympathetic. It was like a little kid who had done something, and it was very strange. It was very strange. But he kept trying to get to me and kept trying to say, I'm sorry, you know, like I'm going to come back and discuss it with him, you know.
When he, do you know how much liquor he had consumed on the, prior to his assaulting you?
If he had consumed any. When I saw him, they didn't have drinks in their hand. That doesn't mean that they were not drinking.
Was this encounter a totally silent encounter? Was he saying anything? Was there any attempt to sell you on this idea verbally?
It was silent. I mean, in the corridor, like I said before, as we were going up, was just very strange, as he was very concerned about how my father felt about him. And I said, you know, everything is fine. You know, I said, my dad supports your fights, and he was very happy about that. Still, I didn't feel anything suggestive. I wasn't suggesting anything. It just happened so quickly.
And we'll be back in a moment. Well, you had an encounter with one of the people who was at the pinnacle of, always will be, the heavyweight champion of the world. There's nobody more famous. It's a world-class athlete, we'll put it that way. And he is now doing serious time for an incident not unlike the one that you experienced. Did he hit you?
No, he didn't hit me.
He held you down.
Yeah.
And while he held you down, you don't recall any kind of even endearing or humorous or come on baby, you know, it's just, we have here a fully clothed man with a fully clothed woman on the floor, immobilizing her with his enormous body weight, hands moving, touching you, as you told us before our program, in very private places, and there's nothing said, or was there any attempt to negotiate? We have here, you know, almost a. I'm sure this was very painful. I don't want this question to be misunderstood, but we have here a almost a simulated, fully clothed sex encounter, which had to be very, very painful. But it removes it from, for example, some of the testimony we heard in Indianapolis during her trial, his trial. Is this an accurate description of what happened to you?
Yes.
You also make the point that you put yourself through therapy.
Yes, I put myself through therapy.
You didn't call Dad and say, you know...
No, it was something I really felt I needed to do because, you know, it was just dreams, reoccurrences. Even when I saw him in the nightclub 2 weeks later, I mean, that scared me to death, you know. And it goes on, and even watching the trial and everything, you know, was bothering me. I mean, it will always be there.
Yes. I risk patronizing you to say that you look wonderful, you are clear of eye, and very lucid of speech, and all the good things. This is not an unimportant observation, because you have had a recent drug history that got more attention than I'm sure you or your family would ever hope for. Another agony about being a celebrity's kid. You also checked yourself into a Rhode Island rehab clinic, isn't that so? Not to be confused with the therapy that you got in following the Tyson encounter.
Right.
You spent about, I think, 4 weeks in rehab, or
it was a month.
A month. And then you came out and you fell off the wagon.
No, not exactly.
Have you been clean since?
I mean, I went in with, I was with a young man at the time, and at that point, my own experiences, I mean, I have had experiences with cocaine, but I was more or less smoking marijuana. And again, he was the first one to come out with that story in the Enquirer, which, of course, was sensationalized. I was led to believe that I had an addiction, that I had a problem, because I was very dependent on this person. So that's why I decided to check myself in. I'm not an addict. It was just a lot of reoccurring problems. I've had problems with my parents, problems with a lot of things.
Right. The National Enquirer quoted you at the time as saying, "Looking back, I can't believe how Dad managed to go on his show every week portraying America's favorite father while having a daughter like me causing so much pain." Is that an accurate quote?
No. My father's not quoted with the National Enquirer.
Well, no, but this is your quote.
Oh, no. I have not quoted with the National Enquirer.
Well, I know, but it's possible for them to pick up something you said to someone else.
No.
Did you feel for your father and the publicity that your own personal behavior had generated?
I felt for it, but
and your mother,
so,
Camille.
Yeah, more so that was aimed at me. But of course, they're going to take it out and because
More
of
so
my
what was
father.
aimed at you?
The story that came out.
I know that, but certainly you had to know that your parents had to be
of course.
very uneasy about the publicity. And you felt for them for this? Or
I mean,
were you...
I felt for them, but I also felt for myself because I knew I needed help.
And then your father is quoted as saying, "She can't come here. She's not a person you can trust. It's going to take her hitting rock bottom where she's totally exhausted and at the point where she can't fight anymore." You certainly read that.
Yes.
And you felt how about that?
I mean, that you read anything like that, it makes you feel awful.
Was it true that you, I mean, there is some support for this position. Of
course. I mean, there's a lot of support, and it makes it look like there's a separatism. You know, but they
between you and your parents.
But they were supportive. I mean, yes, we have our differences.
But you were never disallowed from coming home.
No, my parents were there.
So all the stories we read about your father, who appeared to be a tough love father, who, you know, was essentially saying, we're helpless now. We got to wait for her to hit the bottom, and then she'll see, and then we'll pray, and she'll.
My parents were there even
They
before
were.
I went. I had spoken with them. They were very supportive of me, very encouraged about what I was doing. I thought it was very brave. They didn't exactly know why I was doing it, and I guess I didn't either. But I wanted to find out what was wrong with me.
So it is fair to say that the stories about the estrangement of you and your folks weren't true.
No.
And that you knew your mom and your dad were always there.
Yes.
And whenever you called, they answered.
Yeah, they were there.
And you could come home anytime you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And that relationship exists today?
Now our relationship is a little different. I mean, we do speak with each other. We have our differences, but I mean, they are there. They're supporting me.
But you are different.
But I'm different.
Of the 5 Cosby kids,
Yeah.
did you not identify yourself as the black sheep?
No, I don't identify myself as a black sheep. I identify myself as a human being. I am not.
That's an untrue quote, then. That's an inaccurate quote. Very good.
I'm not Huxtable. I'm not, you know.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not
it's
that.
a pretty bad joke for a proud woman of color to make anyway, so I thank you for clearing it up for you. You never said that. No, you never said that you were. But you do acknowledge that of the 5 children, you are the one that, how shall we say this, caused the most distractions for your parents.
Yeah.
All right, so you acknowledge that. Do you feel any remorse at all for having put them through whatever it is they went through, as you must know any parent would?
I don't feel remorse. I mean, I would certainly go back and clean up a lot of those things. But I think I've learned a lot of things for myself. It's made me a stronger person. And I'm very happy right now, and I'm doing very well, and I like being independent.
Yes. You will acknowledge that you, first of all, did you not have a 4-month marriage?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So, and that's over.
Yes.
So not unlike a lot of people who go through, you know, the druggy scene, you made a lot of, you did a lot of stupid things. I do not insult you to make that point.
No, yeah, exactly.
Very good.
Exactly.
And now you say you're out of this. You're drug-free now.
Right.
And your relationship with your parents, how shall we call this? Are you saying it's cordial?
It's cordial. I would say it's cordial.
It's not warm, tight, close.
Right. It's not as close as we were before all the problems and things. I guess you can call it coming out of all the turmoil and getting to rekindle some things. I don't know, but they're there. We speak.
Yeah. Did your going public as you are now, or would that hurt your relationship with your parents? My guess is that your parents wish you would just, you know, do what you want to do, but don't discuss these kinds of things publicly. I don't know this, I'm guessing.
Maybe, and like I said, I really didn't have plans on discussing it publicly, but this is really about me. It's not about them. And, I mean, that's...
Yeah. Just one other thing. Your father gets a lot of laughs in his act about telling stories about his father. Tough as nails. You know, I mean, I'm not, just to characterize his father, when his father said pick up the paper, he picked up the paper. And your father, in his contemporary persona, comes on as a loving father, a drug-free father, a father with a conscience who's given millions to schools and other worthy causes. But like his father, he's strict. And that part of his parenthood rubbed you the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, this is very strict, but I have to do what I have to do. You know, I believe in so many things in myself, and I don't know what it is. I don't know why. But I have to stand up for myself. I'm a human being.
You know,
Give you a
it's
chance.
simply maybe just a simple case that she's a little bit more independent and some of her brothers and sisters and just chooses to go her own way.
Well, but it's more than that. I mean, she independently chose a very destructive lifestyle for a while.
Not unlike many other.
Oh, true.
And
That's
she's out
true.
of that, and unfortunately, she's a long time out of that, but we keep coming back to it.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Erinn, did you make this tape for protection for yourself?
I made it for security reasons.
If you joined us late, you have acknowledged making a videotape, which apparently share with whoever might subsequently see it the events of the night in 1989 when you had an encounter with Mike Tyson in his home in New Jersey that was very, very aggressive and unpleasant for you. Uh-huh. Yes.
I just wanted to know how long you had to wait in the house after this happened for the ride to come pick you up.
That was about, I'd say, 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah.
If you're not doing this for publicity, why did you wait so long, or did I miss something?
I think you missed something.
Why do you need the publicity?
I don't need the publicity.
No, that's not, that kind of suspicion is not embodied in the question. I think I understand her point. If this happened in 1989, since that time we've had, you know, the whole Soviet Union has collapsed, and Mike Tyson has gone to jail for behaving similarly with another woman. And so the woman stands to ask, why now?
Well, one of the reasons why now is because one of Erinn's former boyfriends was going to try to resell this story to the Inquirer yet a second time. And in fairness to both Erinn, her family, and Tyson, that's why we made the tape. We were going to use the tape in the event he was successful in getting that story sold to the Inquirer again.
Right. You take no money from your parents, is that right, Erinn?
Right, nothing.
And are you employed?
Yes.
Yeah. You're probably a big hit in a movie I haven't seen. Are you in the entertainment world?
I'm just, I recently had a nightclub and a restaurant, and I'm previously getting into modeling and starting to pursue an acting career. Also, I'm going to be opening up a club in Miami with a friend of mine who has a promotional company, and during Halloween.
Right. It's already been noted by a person in our audience and by what you shared with us. You aren't so hot at picking friends.
Not at all.
Everybody wants a piece of the Cosby energy. Your father is a giant.
Yes.
And we assume that Mr. Terminello was probably an altar boy in school when you were a little boy, and you're here as a duly authorized agent of Ms. Cosby. You're her attorney at law, and I assume you negotiate, you help her with the business interests?
I represented the nightclub. One of the things that I do is I represented the nightclub that she had an interest in Miami. That's correct.
Are your parents aware that you're here today making this?
Yes, they are.
They are.
Yes.
Yeah.
So did you make the videotape at the first time that they were going to come out with a story, or the second time?
No. I just did this when I got wind of the fact that he was going to come out with this story, because I was away. I went overseas. So in case something came up, to tell it accurately for everybody, they could use that.
And we'll be back in a moment.
Remember, postcards only, please.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand that Desiree Washington had said Mike Tyson had some sort of an animalistic face or eye. I was wondering if you saw that when he was attacking you. And were you afraid of him after his bodyguards came looking for you in the club? Did you live in fear of him?
Oh, I was terrified. I was terrified. And also, your first question, I didn't even get to really see his face because he was on top of me.
Sandra Miller-Reese joins us. May I ask you to stand, please? You pressed charges against Mike Tyson in 1989, not long after this incident, if I'm understanding the chronology. After he fondled you in a club. You sued him, you won a lawsuit, you were given, it says here, a small reward. Is that right?
Yes.
So it was a moral victory.
Yes.
Rich you didn't get.
No, I didn't.
All right, so we have now Robin Givens, we have Miss Cosby, we have you, we have Desiree Washington, we have a young man who has been described by one irreverent sports writer as a walking keg of testosterone, who is, and that shouldn't be funny, who is out there mauling women, and we have him surrounded by a lot of very important moneyed people who make decisions about the billion-dollar world of boxing, in which he was at the top of the mountain, who apparently looked the other way.
Yeah, we do.
Do you remember, is there anything similar about his look or the way he behaved to you that, as you listened to Miss Cosby's story?
Yes, a lot of it. He has like a rage. He just has a rage in his eyes, like what he could do to you, what he would like to do to you. He just seemed like a horrible, mean person, and I don't understand.
This was in front of people in a public.
Exactly, in front of people, and it didn't bother him at all. It didn't bother him at all. His friends, you know, they tried at the time. They had tried to.
Did they offer you money?
Oh yeah, they I think they did.
And you?
I denied.
Well, what's the moral of these stories? First, when you see this, you've got to blow the whistle. Second, the most underreported crime in the world has to become a reported crime. You know this now after the fact, I assume. If this happened to you again, you'd report it.
Absolutely.
What's your next step here? Do you intend to sue? Will there be any kind of litigation?
Well, she certainly has the right to sue him if he wants, but that's not in the stars. That's not what we're going to do. We wrote to Tyson's lawyers simply asking for a public acknowledgement and an apology.
And you haven't heard from him?
No, I had a short conversation with his lawyer on the phone. Have not heard back from him since.
And we'll be back in a moment. Yes, ma'am.
All right. I was wondering how you feel about Mike Tyson's present situation now, and whether you feel what he has is justified, what happened to him.
Yes, I'm very happy. I think that he will not really, I don't think a prison term, we'll never know until he's fully rehabilitated.
He certainly needs more than to be locked up.
Definitely, he needs rehabilitation.
Erinn, I was just wondering, were you going through the problems that you had in the past with drugs during that period of time when this incident happened? Or did you think this incident contributed to your problems?
No, there was a connection, yes. It was during.
You're a lovely young woman, and I commend you for what you're doing, and I'd love to know, are you in touch with your siblings?
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Are you in touch with your folks?
Yes.
I assume by telephone.
Yes.
So no picnics for you in the near future in the backyard. We're obviously curious about this.
Right now, no.
Right. Mr. Terminelli, you have to give me the chance to ask you this. Let's say this again. The National Enquirer claims that you wanted to peddle this tape about which Miss Cosby spoke to them for $100,000. You're denying this.
I wanted to?
Yeah.
No.
Did someone with your knowledge and consent offer to them the tape for $100,000? Let's understand the appearance here. We got a lawyer who has attached himself to an offspring of the most powerful television personality of our time. There's got to be some money here, and I can't believe that you're in this for the United Way.
If we wanted money, we would sue for money damages. That's a remedy in the court of law. I've suggested she not do that.
And we'll be back in a moment.
Okay.
I'd like to ask a question. Are you afraid for when Mike Tyson gets out of jail, if he's going to come to you now that the story's out?
He's gonna, probably has a lot of other things to worry about, and a lot of other people to worry about.
Before he locked the door, were you interested in him at all?
No.
Yeah, just one second. Yeah.
Were you at all intoxicated that night?
No, I had a couple drinks, but I was not drunk.
Yes.
I'm from Miami. Where's your club going to be? And good luck.
It is going, well, I can't give you the information right now where exactly we're looking at a building, but it will be open Halloween with my friend Michael Jacobson.
Yeah.
Do you think your male friend who drove you to his house knew what he was going to do, Mike Tyson?
No, you know, that's interesting. I don't know.